buses and farts. We're going to take a little break from it. Hilarious, I know. But I'm going to tell a story about cycling. I ride the bus from time to time, but most of the time I'm like getting around on a bike. And yeah, woo! But yeah, so I got a story to tell you guys about my first real mission out of town. My buddy and I were like, hey, let's get some bikes. We had bikes to get us to the bar, get us around, you know, get away from DUIs and all that stuff. Even though you can't get one on a bike, be careful, everybody. And but we got these touring bikes, man. We got these awesome bikes that are made to put racks on the front and on the back, and you can put your sleeping bag and your tents and everything on them, and you can just pedal out towards the horizon. And it's amazing. It's such an awesome feeling. You're not trying to go fast, you're just trying to go. And it's rad. It's really, really cool. My buddy Rick Botchlet, a really good friend of mine, he and I were getting all ready to do this trip down the road. You know, we were getting the gear. He was training, and I was like on the internet, figuring out what the coolest gear would be to buy. And he like trained, and I'd be like, dude, look at these pedals though. And he'd be like, yeah, okay, you might want to jog or ride your bike or something. But I'm like, no, man, I got these cool racks, and I put them on my bike, and I got all the best gear, and I got big feet, so I couldn't find these amazing shoes that go onto these amazing pedals that are supposed to make you like the best bike rider. It's like it makes you one with the machine. And it's supposed to be super, super awesome. And of course he got them because he's got these cute little feet and he can just find shoes everywhere he wants. So I'm just like, you guys got 13s? They're like, get the fuck out of here, man. You might want to check Amazon or something. I was like, whatever. So, unfortunately, he gets his heart broken. He was in this long-term relationship and he was like, man, forget waiting to do this trip. Let's go. We're gonna run. I'm like, but man, I don't have my shoes yet. I don't know if I can do it. You know, so I end up in every REI, all the bike spots that I could. And the night before we leave for this trip, I find the shoes, and I'm able to put these pedals on my bike, and I get them all ready. And I'm in my apartment, getting it all set up. And my wife is looking at me, and she's like, "Oh, honey, I'm so happy you got your pedals in your shoes. It's gonna be so great." She doesn't talk like that. She's mad at me right now for doing that. But anyhow, I'm so stoked, and I got like 500 fucking pounds on my bike, and I'm ready to go, and I haven't even ridden around with these pedals. I haven't even tried them out. I haven't even tried these shoes out, but they look fucking amazing. And I'm like in the Vaughn's parking lot where I'm gonna meet up with my buddy, and I put my hand on the side of the truck, and I click in, and I'm like, oh, wow, I'm one with the bike. And I start doing these beautiful loops, these graceful figure eights through this empty parking lot, and my wife is watching me go by. There he goes with his pedals and his shoes, so cute. So she always says that to me. But anyhow, I'm cruising around, I'm like really showing off, and really feeling it, and then I ride right up to her, and I'm standing there, and I realize I can't get these fucking shoes off these pedals, and I just start to slowly fall away. Luckily, my body didn't hit the ground because my knee took all the impact. Right here, it's like smack, and I hit the ground, and she's just kind of staring at me, and bless her heart, she waited till I giggled a little bit till she bust out laughing, and I was like, it hurts. I'm like, but luckily I got 5 days of riding up to Pismo ahead of me, so my buddy shows up, he's like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm good. I'm all right, let's ride bikes. We head off, and I'm like, you know, let's stick to the coast, take it easy, but then we thought, you know what? Fuck it. Let's totally throw away all of our planning and head up to Ojai. We've been there before, in a car. It's beautiful there, in a car. Little shops, little restaurants. It's a record shop, it's great. I was on a fucking bicycle, man. I thought about it, I'd read blogs, I'm like, it's gonna be glorious. I'm gonna put in journal entries and look over the trees, and it's gonna be beautiful. It sucked, man. I was riding, and my buddy's so fit, I was like, oh, there he goes. I just wave him ahead, he looks back, and I'm like, no, seriously, man, you don't gotta wait for me. Go on, go ahead, you're good, I'll catch up. I never caught up. I didn't, man. And I'm riding, and then I finally get up to the first crest, and I start flying down the hill, and I'm like, this is great. This is like air conditioning. I'm like finally getting air in my face, And all of a sudden, the bike just starts to wobble. And I get my first fucking flat, man. And my front tire just blows out. Kind of goes out of under me like that. So I'm kind of facing the other direction, and it's these swervy streets with their sand all washed out. Anytime it rains, all the sand just comes out onto the street, and I'm on my bike, and luckily I'm on my side, feet still clicked in, nice and secure, one with a bike, and I just hear a loud noise, like big, fat tires and weight coming down the road, and I'm laying in the street, and I see it come out like 2 curves behind where I'd been coming down. I see this fucking big rig, because there's tons of construction and shit up there. It's like a big cement truck. It's coming around. He doesn't see me. But I know I got like a 500-pound goddamn bike attached to my body, and I'm laying in the street facing this truck that's about to fucking kill me. And I took everything I had. Luckily, these shoes worked so good that I was able to just lift the entire bike over my body into the dirt. And I was like, and he swerved out. He was more surprised to see me than I was to see him. And I finally, saved my life. That was good, so the trip could continue. And then I went and I started looking through my bag for my tubes, and I realized the only spare tubes I had bought were for my other bike that had these teeny little, skinny little wheels on it, little tires, and I had the wrong tubes. So from here on out, all the way to Ojai, I'd say every 15 to 25 minutes, I'd get another flat, and another flat, and another flat. And I finally make it to Ojai, and my buddy's like sitting at the top of a hill, eating a peanut butter sandwich. He's like, really? I'm like, no, it wasn't this. It was the tires. They let me down, and we get new tubes, and we're in Ojai, and we're like, all right, cool. Ojai's the top, right? It's like, Ojai. Like, it should be the top. It's not the top. You still got to keep climbing after that motherfucker. And he takes off again, and he's like, no, I'm going to wait for you. I'm like, no, come on, don't be silly, man. We got the right tubes. Everything's cool. I'm feeling good. I'm extremely embarrassed that he had to wait for me for like 2 hours. And this guy takes off again. Next thing you know, I'm riding, and my chain explodes off of my bike. And there I am, just sitting there. I'm like, well, this I can't fix. And for a second there, I'm kind of stoked, because I'm like, well, I can't even fix it, so I'm just going to. And these assholes in their cars just, some just go, as they come by. I'm like, you fucking asshole, help me. Guys in pickup trucks by themselves, like, they're just throwing the bike in there. This lady in a Subaru pulls over, and she's like, are you okay? And she's like super concerned. I'm like, yeah, chain broke. And she's like, get in. I was like, all right. And we have to take the wheels off my bike to fit it into her car. And the first thing she says to me is, she says, I've had nightmares about this. I was like, are you kidding? Oh, yeah, you seem nice. You're driving a Subaru, like peace and love. And she's like, I've had dreams that I was just stranded out on this road, and there was fires everywhere. And I was like, cool. So you've lived here for a while? I don't know. And she's awesome, but she did have many repeated nightmares of being stuck in this place, and that's why she pulled over. She's like, oh, I gotta help this guy. So she finally gets me down to a bike shop all the way down in Carpinteria, and I take it in there, I take my bike in, and this bike mechanic looks at it, and he looks at my racks, and he says, who did this to you? I'm like, because I did all the work on my bike. And he's like, who did this to you? This thing was rigged to kill. I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I'm going to find that guy, and I'll tell him. And yeah, he said that one of the bolts was way too long, and it just kept clipping onto my chain, and it exploded. Finally, when he fixed it, my buddy Rich, who's now showered, walks into the bike shop looking good, and he's like, dude, oh man, I finally found you. And he was doing great. We left town, and he was, working through some things, and I left town, and I was like really happy. By the time I got there, I was beat to shit, and I'd been through it. We did 100 miles, and that's like what they do in the Tour de France, but they do it in like a few hours. I did it from like 4 in the morning till 8 p.m. at night, and then half of it was in a car. But the rest of the trip went off without a hitch, and it was awesome. Thank you so much for coming out. Pedal.